Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the other side of the coin. It's time for a truth bomb yet again. Yet again, it's time for a truth bomb. We are getting into a situation where this particular manager that we have right now, and look, we've established for the longest of time that the manager himself is not the only issue at Chelsea Football Club. There is far deeper issues, deep-rooted issues at Chelsea Football Club in the likes of the board, the sporting directors, in the likes of the owners, and many other aspects of the football club. Medical staff is also a huge topic, but focusing on the manager for the time being, because at the end of the day, the manager can do a lot in terms of what is displayed on field. We're getting into a situation right now, ladies and gentlemen, where quite a large part of the fan base is starting to feel players like Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, Levi Colwill, and many more. They're starting to feel that these players are nobody. We're getting into a situation with this manager where the credibility of some of our better players is getting diminished. For many of us, these players, we know they've got the quality. But right now, with the way we are setting up under Pochettino, where there seems to be lack of cohesion in defense, lack of cohesion in midfield, lack of cohesion in attack, now there are certain parts of the fan base that are slowly starting to think or believe that maybe it's the players' fault. Maybe the players are not good enough. And they're getting into a situation where they are fully committed to spend maybe another £1 billion to give Pochettino the players that he needs to perform at this level. This is a dangerous situation. Look, I'm not going to sit here and lie. There are certain players in our squad that are not good enough. You can tell. There's probably a handful of them that you can say, do you know what? We've seen you enough. You're probably not good enough, right? But then there are certain players that you know what? I know you're better than that. I know you're 100% better than what you're displaying right now. If there was a better manager, they would be able to utilize you in a far better manner. And this, for me, is, as I said, it's a dangerous situation, not just for the player, obviously from a fan perspective as well. You don't want to see certain players that are genuinely good come to Chelsea Football Club and starting to stink up the joint. But also from a board perspective, also from an ownership perspective, they will not appreciate some of their key assets being looked like nobodies. I kid you not. There are people in the fan base that truly think Caicedo is an absolute flop. There are pundits that are going out there and saying he's an absolute flop. When we can see how much the lack of midfield structure, the lack of structure that we have, the lack of organization. What is the midfield setup? What are we trying to do when we're building up? Why is it that the defenders have such massive gaps from defense to midfield? Why is it that Caicedo is the deepest midfielder and Enzo Fernandez is so far ahead of him? How are we meant to build up? Is it a coincidence that when we lose the ball, Caicedo is pretty much overcrowded by the opposition? For instance, when Ben Chilwell lost the ball yesterday for the first goal, there was literally at least 5 Liverpool players that just swarmed in, collected the ball, and they overcrowded, outnumbered us in the midfield. Is that Caicedo's fault that he's unable to cover every single player, or is that the manager's fault in order to basically set us up correctly? There was a tweet from Max. Let me just see if I can actually share that. Let me just bring that up. We'll get to the Armando Broja news very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like we need to talk about this situation first up. I want to show you guys a particular tweet from Max yesterday that some of you guys might be interested in. Check this out. Bit of insight into last night. Pochettino and players are furious at refs' decisions. Poch plans to speak to players today, tomorrow, as he is very upset the team lost too many duels. However, some players thought the team was not set up well enough to compensate for those lost duels. Look at this. Some players thought the team was not set up well enough to compensate for the lost duels. You got players potentially asking the question, and you know what? Some people might say, "Oh, who's the source for Max? Why doesn't he tweet it from the main account?" Don't worry about those questions. The fact is, that particular information is not too wild. It's not wild. It is somewhat believable. If you were a player right now at Chelsea, you'd be questioning the manager's thought process. People talk about, managers being progressive. We don't want to talk about Jose. We don't want to talk about Antonio Conte. We don't want to talk about Ancelotti. These are prehistoric managers. Do you know what I mean? Like, these managers are not going to be able to come in and do what they need to do with the current set of players, right? They talk about Mauricio Pochettino being a progressive manager. He can develop youth. What progressive management have we seen from Pochettino? Honestly speaking, have a look at some of the managers that are available in the Premier League right now. Have a look at the way they're playing. Have a look at their structure. Have a look at their philosophy. Have a look at their attacking patterns. Have a look at what they're doing in midfield. Have a look at what they're doing in defense off the ball. Have a look at the way they build up. Now, compare all of that with what you're seeing with Pochettino. People say Pochettino, his style of play is press from the front, box the opposition in. Press from the front is not a style. A lot of teams in the Premier League press from the front. A lot of teams do. That's just a given facet of football, pressing. Style, organization is what is your ideology when you have the ball up front? Are you going to penetrate through the middle? Or are you going to try and break through the middle and then find openings out wide? And then your wide men will cut the ball back in, and you're going to have runners swarm into the box. There has to be an idea. There has to be a trigger. In defense, like what we saw against Liverpool, somewhat of a plan where our defense stayed compact, allowing the Liverpool players all the space and time available on the wings. They wanted to stay compact because they wanted to cut down any space through the middle. But when you see that that's not working out, when you see that it's actually hurting you by allowing them so much space because their players are very, very superior. Their wing players, their wide players are so superior. You need to have the in-game management that feel that, you know what, maybe what I've set out to do is not working out. We need to probably tweak that. And that's the other thing. I don't see Mauricio Pochettino, not often enough, maybe once or twice in this entire season, where I've seen him tweak something at halftime or in-game to give us an advantage. It's almost as if there's a certain way he's prepared the team, and that's it. Now, if the opposition does something totally different, then so be it. We continue with the plan. It's as if he does not have the capacity to change all of that. This is why I'm saying, look, I think we can all agree that the squad that we have it seemed like it was assembled well before we thought about getting Pochettino, because it's not really assembled for Pochettino. There are certain attributes that Poch wants in his team. He talks about height, he talks about physicality. They're probably, and he's not really looking to play tiki-taka football. He's more direct. He wants to camp in the opposition half by pressing and counter-pressing. but he wants to play with a lot of physicality, a lot of players that are tall, robust. So this particular team, I don't think has been set up for Pochettino. Now, there's two things that you can do. One, in the summer window, you keep Pochettino and you back him this time, and you get rid of some of the players that don't meet the criteria. You're potentially going to have to spend a lot of money, and you're potentially probably going to get a bit of losses on the players that you've just recently bought that don't seem to fit the plan of Pochettino. Or you get rid of Pochettino and you actually now this time scout properly, do a proper interview on a manager that is actually going to suit the squad that you have assembled. Because it's a clear mismatch. What you assembled to what you've got as a manager, it's a clear mismatch. You didn't think about it. It's almost as if you've disregarded the managerial position. And this is the other issue. There's a lot of fans in the fan base that are starting to think, how much does it even matter? Like, what does it even matter? How much does it matter what the manager's input is? It's a lot. We have people in the fan base that are saying that, oh, I'll take all of Aston Villa players right now. Because Aston Villa, they're looking good. They're much better than the players that we have. Maybe so. But literally 16, 18 months ago when Unai Emery took over, a lot of these players were in that Aston Villa team. And that Aston Villa team was 16th or 17th in the table. At that time, no one talked about taking some of these Aston Villa players. Now, 16, 17 months later, 18 months later, now that Aston Villa is doing well, now we want some of these Aston Villa players. It's because of the manager. It's because of Unai Emery. It's 100% because of Unai Emery. This is where a lot of the fan base, we don't seem to think deep. If you guys remember, Frank Lampard, before he got sacked the first time, and Thomas Tuchel came over, so many players under Frank Lampard, people thought that team was average. That team was bad. Kovacic, Jorginho, Rudiger, Kante as well to a certain degree, Havertz, Werner. Thomas Tuchel comes in, first game you could see straight away that there was a change in structure. There was a change in system. All of a sudden, players that the fan base thought were flops and have no future, all of a sudden they're looking great. And we end up winning the Champions League. We end up coming third on the table. Third or fourth, but we made it to the Champions League that season, the season that we ended up winning under Thomas Tuchel. It just shows managers matter, man. Managers are probably one of the most important factors. It matters. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your thoughts. Do you believe that we're getting into a situation where some of the players that we have, some parts of the fan base are actually deeming the entire squad being rubbish? We're getting into a situation where a lot of our players are losing their credibility. And I don't think that's right. And I don't think that's appropriate. As I said, just some of the names that I've thrown out: Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, Levi Colwill. These are not bad players, man. I guarantee you they go to a different club, they're balling out. These are not bad players. But now we're getting to a point where they're made to look like they're bad players. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about this. Do you feel the manager is directly culpable for this particular matter? And do you think maybe another manager, I don't know who, you can comment who, can perhaps get far better output from the team that we have? As I've said, there are certain players that are probably not good enough. There are definitely certain players that are not good enough. All right, let's get into the news, ladies and gentlemen. One big news to talk about in this final day, deadline day of January transfer window. As you can see, Armando Broja to Fulham on loan is a here we go. Fabrizio Romano. Some people are saying, breaking, Armando Broja is joining Fulham on loan fee up to 4 million, done deal, heading for medical. This is from Sammy Mogbel. Up to, please realize here, up to 4 million. This is where things get a little bit messy. Fulham are paying 750k for Broja on loan. It goes up to 4 million as a penalty fee if he does not play a certain amount, coming from Miguel Delaney. And then it further goes from Jacob Steinberg. If Broja plays half of Fulham's games, the loan fee will be £0 for the entire time that Armando Broja is there. So look, for me, this seems like a mad, absolute crazy deal. If we end up getting 0 fee or even 750k, what's the point of sending this player to Fulham? And apparently there is no option to buy. There is nothing. There's no obligation. There's no option. There's nothing. What's the point? We just literally gave this player for free. Who's covering the wages? I don't see any point on doing a deal like that. We've gone from 50 million rated Armando Broja to 30 to 35 million to perhaps a 5 million dry loan to now looking at potentially 0 fee on the loan fee, 0 loan fee if he plays half the games for Fulham for the remaining season. Fulham might as well play him for half the games. It's not going to cost him. It's not going to cost them anything. Look, I thought one thing that our board and our owners did well this time around is, okay, the business side of things. But even the business is starting to look a little bit shaky. Look, for me, I don't have too much to say about Armando Broja. Look, he's not someone who was moving the needle for us. He wasn't creating much of an impact. But if that's the kind of, loan fee that we're going to get, or no loan fee that we're going to get, well, we should have just kept him. At least he's some level of option for us up front. We don't have a replacement at the moment. And perhaps we're going to utilize Nkunku. Nicholas Jackson's coming back. We've already seen Cole Palmer play as a false nine, which I don't like one bit. Perhaps those are the options that we're going to go with. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts in regards to what you think of this crazy Armando Broja loan fee or lack of loan fee to Fulham. Let me know if this is a good move. Hopefully he does well over there. And we shall see what happens at the end of this loan. Does he become a better player? Does he not? Is potentially going to be yet another issue for Chelsea come the summer window, where we'll have to decide his future because there is no obligation or option to buy from Fulham. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts about that particular move. Let me know about the topic that we talked about, the truth bomb. Players losing credibility under this manager. Let me know what you're thinking about all of that. Smash the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. I shall see you guys for a live stream tomorrow. Until then, take care. See ya.